Namaste, everyone. Welcome to the Blooming Lotus Healing channel. My name is Jikara, and I am a spiritual healing facilitator. And I come weekly on this channel. I bring beautiful souls every single week to talk about different things, aspects, woo subjects in our spiritual journey. And today I have a beautiful, absolutely beautiful soul that I've met, I think about 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I can't remember how long now. But all I know that I feel like I've known her my entire life. And we're going to be talking about a very important subject. And I feel she's very passionate about this. And I feel like this subject matter is something that we might have to have a two-part conversation. But we're going to be talking about an overview about the spiritual awakening process. So just going to be sharing some of the aspects that are part of this process, and I want to invite you to just really sit here and open your heart and receive the messages that are going to be coming through. I know it's going to be very, very powerful. So if this is your first time on this channel, I want to invite you to subscribe. And I also want to take a moment to ask you to share and like this video if you feel like it's helping you. And maybe you might feel like someone else might be able to receive this message and be able to integrate this in their hearts. I also want to take a moment to thank my supporters. Oh my gosh, I'm so grateful for each one of you. We just had a clearing yesterday. We did an Akashic clearing for the group. And everyone was just loving the Akashic clearing we did for the month. And we also have a weekly Telegram. We have a private Telegram channel where we have a weekly Telegram message that I share with the group every week. And I kind of wanted to just take a moment just to thank everyone who's part of the Cosmic Light Activation membership. All of you are supporting this channel, so thank you so much. If you are interested in supporting this channel, then I want to take a moment to invite you to go into my website, which is thebloominglotushealing.com. And you can sign up for my email list so that you know first when I open that group again. I'm the only one managing the group, so that's the reason why it's not open all the time. But if you're interested, you want to make sure that you sign up for my email list so that you know when it's coming next. Another thing I wanted to mention as well is that I do have a class coming up. It was my former soul relationships class, which has now been rebranding to the Beloved Method, and I'm so excited. I already have about, I think, 6 students already, and I think I'm gonna cap it at 10. So if you're still interested in, maybe you've been like kind of toying around with the idea of learning how to use the pendulum to access the Akashic records and to clear energies between you and your loved ones, then I want to invite you to go into my website and go into the workshops section and sign up for the class. You still have time, but after May, I will close out the invitation to join. So anyway, so enough about all this stuff and about me, because I really just want to get into the juicy conversation that I'm going to have with Naharinna today. And so I'm going to bring her in. Hello, beautiful sister.
Hello, hello.
I'm so grateful that you're here, and that we're gonna have this conversation here on my channel. I'm so honored to have you. We've been basically, connecting at the soul level for a while now, and you've been such a beautiful light in my life. And I'm so grateful that I get to share your energy with my audience. So thank you so much for being here.
It's a pleasure, and I'm honored. Thank you. Yes, I really like the way we bonded through spirituality. And as you know, this subject for me is really, it's really important. And the reason why it's important is because it's not an easy journey. So, so may I just dive in, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Please dive into absolutely. Let's dive in. Let's jump in the water.
Yes, because we have an hour, the first hour of this, and quite a bit to cover. So I think a couple of salient points. We are all sacred, and we are all powerful creators, whether you are aware of it or not. And, and as part of being powerful creators, and also connecting with our inner divinity, we have to go through a process. And that process is not easy. It's really, you have to look yourself in the mirror. You have to grow, you have to evolve. And there are many components that are part of that process. And the long and short of it is, just, a brief synopsis. First of all, you know, uh, we need to quieten the noise of the ego. The ego is just always on. And and yes, it has its uses, and it's great, but it's like it never stops. That voice in the head. And sometimes you can get lost depending on where you are in your journey, and get lost in your head. And so part of this journey is to find a way for you to quieten the noise and to drop into your beautiful heart space as we learn to really grow, open our hearts. And, that process for me personally, and by the way, my spiritual awakening is still ongoing. I'm still learning so much about it. And so, as Jikara indicated, this is more of an overview. And perhaps with part 2, we'll go more into the energetics, which, of course, I really have a passion for, because I feel energy very acutely. And so back to the top 4 that I wanted to point out. Yeah, working with the ego, dropping into the heart space, and also working to really learn who we are. And working through all the mud that was slung at us and discovering our authentic self. And through that process, loving ourselves and accepting ourselves. And I wanted to point out that through that authentic process, that it will not work if you lie to yourself. It will not work if you lie about the way you live your life. It will not work if you lie to those people you love who are in your lives. Because I know a lot of people who are spiritual and they don't share it with their loved ones. People who are in their lives. And the process will take so much longer for you. So because what happens when you lie, lies carry an energy about them. And these energies create blockages that activate certain subconscious wounds and energies that you will be mired in, that will surround you, that can drown you. So please do not lie to yourself and do not lie to others, because if you do, the process, you'll just go around in circles. I'm telling you, been there, doing that.
You know what? And I kind of wanted to just interject here in regards to that, because I so totally feel the essence of what you're saying here. When I opened up to my mother about my work, right? I was scared for the longest time about, once I started this journey, this shamanic journey of working with the elements, which, you and I are familiar with, and, and I was doing this deep work and connecting deep with other, with other women, and really healing deeply and witnessing. And there was almost like this deep understanding within myself that I like, almost like this, it's almost like you're having this constant push and pull inside of you. And, and you can't, it's almost like it takes away your energy. It takes away your energy because you're trying to lie to yourself, right? Because you're trying to keep this facade, this mask. No. Like that's, what's going to happen. And once I actually opened up about it with my family, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I did receive flack. I did. However, I felt stronger in my path. I felt so connected.
Yep.
So I kind of wanted to ask you about this because, within your own journey, because I know that this is something that you yourself, we're all going through the awakening process, right? Like we can't say like, oh, I'm awakened, because that would anyway, that would be kind of weird. But we all are in different stages of the awakening process, right?
Yes.
Like I wanted to ask you about your own experience in regards to this. Like, how did you move through this, within yourself? What made you shift that within yourself to say, you know what, I have to be honest with myself right now and say, you know what, enough about this. Like I can't continue, my journey in this direction, right?
Yeah.
How did you move through that?
Well, for me, and and that was the last item I was going to cover, was really trust. Trust yourself first and foremost. And it's good to have mentors, it's good to have resources. However, when you're going through your journey, you need to anchor in your truth. You need to really know what motivates you, but more importantly, you need to look at your wounds. And for me personally, what shifted for me, the direct response to that is I was struggling in my then marriage. And there are many of, so I was married for 3.5 decades, 35 years. That's a long time.
Yeah.
And the thing about being in a marriage, not necessarily that long, is that sometimes you get comfortable with status quo, and you start telling yourself stories.
Yeah.
And so what happened for me was, I was praying over it because I got married once and it was for life, and I prayed over it many times. And then there was like a cloud that lifted, because even though I was comfortable, to be honest with you, I was more complacent, and my spouse too. So sometimes when you're comfortable, really look at it. And if there is that element of complacency, then you need to do something about it. And that involves the energy of choice. When you make a choice, you open up pathways to healthier, hopefully healthier behaviors and patterns. So for me, when I fully accepted that, oh, the marriage is over. And why is it over? It doesn't honor me. And what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is when you make a choice, especially for such a big shift, the end of a marriage or relationship, you don't have to be married to have deep, meaningful relationships. When you make a decision like that, you need to really say, am I experiencing joy?
Oh, wow.
The decisions I'm making,
Yeah.
are they nourishing me?
Yeah.
Are they honoring me in the body, my soul?
Yeah.
And so when I realized, oh my gosh, I am not, all of a sudden, because I'm so sensitive to energies, I felt this like energetic opening. I shifted in that moment. And I came to a place where, I became empowered. There you have it.
I love that.
Why? Because I owned my truth. Because around that truth, there was a certain level of shame. Like, yes, I have failed. The marriage has failed. And yes, this and yes, that. But I'll tell you something. When someone makes a decision like that, it takes so much courage. It takes so much soul searching. That's a decision that does not come lightly. And sometimes we forget that in the process, and so my guides are always reminding me, they're like, look, you have come so far and we applaud you, But we need to remember to do that for ourselves and to stand now, on to go with the process. So, and the one thing that I make clear to my kids, raising them, was where you are in life is a direct result of each and every choice you make. You have choices. You have choices, even when, and I must say this, there was a time in my life when I was in this deep, dark hole. It was only a few months and I was in university and I was really puzzled. And, I was just in this deep, dark hole. And it was like, I was there and I couldn't do anything. I felt, trapped. And I felt I couldn't do anything to climb out of that hole and lift myself out of it. But somehow I was able to lift myself out of it. So I got a glimpse of what it's like to feel powerless, what it's like to feel that you're just surrounded by the dark and there's no hope. And I was fortunate. For me, it was just a few months, but for others, it's a lifetime.
Yeah.
And so part of this journey, this awakening journey, is and for me, it begins with awareness. You need to be in a place. Okay. First of all, I'll talk about trauma because for me, this spiritual process, it starts with trauma. We have all been traumatized in one way or another, I guarantee you.
Yeah.
And some of us will not, how do you say? Some of us will not remember the trauma in our minds, but our body lived it.
Yes.
Our body remembers the trauma. So, and why, and I'll tell you through my experience, trigger alert here. And as I speak to this, I also want to say this. When you are triggered, it is a blessing because it means that you are responding to something that you need to look inside and heal. Okay. Yeah. So we all have a core wound. My core wound, which my loving parents couldn't protect me from, was, I was sexually assaulted as a child. And let me tell you what it did for me. It closed me off. It sealed me off. And through this process in my spiritual awakening, I had to go through this process of unraveling what that event did to me, because closed off people are not living. People who do not feel their pain, their anguish, their wounds, are not living. But you get to a place through the healing process when you're able to forgive. And during that forgiveness process, which is about us and our growth, not the perpetrators, through that journey, we learn to forgive. We learn compassion. We learn also to surrender and to have faith, to surrender to an energy that we don't understand, that is birthed deep in our hearts. So therefore, when we do the work in our heart, and I'll just go over this briefly, that yes, we are energetic beings. And there are, depending on the source, you'll see that there are over 144 chakras and all that. But most of us focus on the 7 main chakras.
Right.
Okay,
yeah.
That go from the base of our spine to our crown chakra. And these energy centers are truly who we are. Why? Because within these energy centers, we have so much that we need to uncover, that we need to identify, we need to understand. We need to forgive, we need to clear, we need to extract. And after doing all that work, we need to balance. And when we're balanced, then we really get into that phase of really connecting with our inner wisdom and our inner power. But that does not come through until we really learn to know ourselves. So in a
Mm.
nutshell.
That's so powerful. And yeah, know thyself, right? And so that and I love what you said about the triggers and how those are really an invitation. It's actually a
Yeah,
blessing, right? The trigger is a blessing in itself
yeah,
because it allows you to know what part of you still needs a little bit of, love, like, it needs a little, what part of you needs to receive some compassion and some love, so that you can move through that, right? It's like that conversation that our bodies and our spirit are having with us all the time through
yeah.
these interactions. And it's so beautiful to me because that is part of the awakening, right? That is part of it when we become more aware of these things. And instead of course, as humans, we're going to react, and that's a normal process. So, like, I want to be mindful for those of you who are watching this, if you're feeling and you get stuck in the process of the reactivity, it's okay. That's
Okay.
okay.
Yes.
And
That's the process.
yeah, that's the process. That's the process itself, right? But that beautiful, conversation that you can have with yourself even afterwards, to go back and say, you know what, let me see, what is this, trying to tell me, right? And then being
Yeah.
in that space of curiosity, which I feel is such a beautiful place to be in, when we, regardless of, after we move through, because I know that there could be shame involved with things, or, so after we move through all of these, kind of putting on that hat and being in that, almost as if you're putting on like a coat, like a lab coat. Well, let me see. Let me try to see this from as a scientist, when you're trying to figure things out, right? And in the science of you, in the science of yourself, right? And so, and what you're saying about knowing yourself and knowing your truth, I think those two things are so powerful, right? Because
Knowing it and accepting
and
it.
accepting it, yeah, and owning it, right? Because one
Yep.
thing, because I
Yep.
know for the longest
Yes.
time, for me, I know that I knew my truth, but I was afraid of it. I was afraid of my truth. I was afraid of how it would be perceived, or how I would, I don't know, like the people pleasing will come out for me, personally, because everyone has their own process and their own wounds and their own triggers and their own, things that they have to work through. So, for everyone that's in the audience right now, you're gonna know internally, what is your process, right? What is it that you have to work on? And understanding that, yes, that trauma doesn't have to be something gigantic, right? It doesn't have to be like you went to war, maybe went through something, as sexual assault. It could be something as simple as, being told that you're not good enough, like when you were a kid, and
Oh,
that
yes.
really
Yeah.
impacted you. You know what I mean? Like in
Yes.
such
Yeah.
and it was traumatic, for the
Yeah.
child.
Oh,
So, like,
yes.
looking at those parts of you that feel a little sore when you think about these memories, right? And, like, not, you don't necessarily have to revisit the memory, but you can revisit the emotional aspect of it, and kind of go into that space of healing, and knowing that this process of awakening can be, it can be complicated sometimes to navigate, and it's okay if you feel overwhelmed. And I know for some people, Naharinna, I was kind of thinking about this yesterday, and thinking about how overwhelming it can be for some people that haven't done the work, and then suddenly they get they get that awakening, and all this stuff comes up. And then you were kind of talking about the being in that darkness, and then you kind of are in that darkness for whether it is 2 months or 10 months or 10 years. I mean, who knows, how many years. What message would you give to someone like that, that's been going through, this process of awakening, and they want to learn how to move through this, like they want to, maybe one little message or one little thing that they can do to start their process of moving through this and not feeling so stuck in it.
Yeah, big question. Because again, that's the process. But regardless of what your challenge is, um, what happens is that some people get stuck in their head, okay?
Hmm.
And a lot of us do. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is that no matter what your wound is, if you are in victim mode, you're not able to connect with the energy of awareness. You're not able to connect with the energy to change your behavior and then ultimately change your perception so that you can dig yourself out of that hole and move forward. But I can say this, that first, okay, there are tools that can help you. Yes, you can do research, you can journal, you can walk. For me, what really helped me was meditation. Why did meditation help me? Because I was able to quieten the noise in my head. When at first it was difficult. I had monkey mind. It was really difficult. It was so difficult when I sat down to go into myself. But, it's just like any other muscle, your brain. It's like any other muscle. It takes practice. You got to cultivate it. You've got to be patient with it. But having said that, I sit down to meditate. Some people will mow the lawn to meditate. Some people will walk. Some people will swim. Some people, will paint and create, and it helps them to reduce the noise and to obtain clarity. So there are many tools that we can use to get us out of that self-imprisoned headspace and into our bodies, because this process, there's an embodiment element to it, that you can do all the reading, okay, you can do all the learning, but if you are not embodying the lessons, if you are not by embody, it's kind of hard to describe embodiment, but if you just really stuck in your, okay, for me, it's really about the heart space. Again, that beautiful heart chakra that is so beautifully unique for every single one of us. There is, like I've said, there is that part within our heart space that no amount of abuse, self-loathing, no amount of trauma can touch. It is that pristine. It is deep within us. And part of this journey is getting to that gem, that divine part of us. And, the first time I heard it was sacred beings, I'll tell you, what I felt was, I was like, nah. And why? Because I didn't have that self-worth. I didn't have that self-belief. I didn't have that self-worth, self-love. But I understand it. I know it. And I feel it. We are, like I said, like I started off saying, we are so sacred. There is that part within us that nothing could mangle, nothing could destroy. And part of this journey is connecting with that beautiful, high vibrational resonance within us, cultivating it and nourishing ourselves with it as we bloom and as we radiate. It's pure divine love as we radiate that through us.
Yes.
And so I hope I answered your question.
Yes, you did. And and I know it was a big question. However, I just knew that your medicine would come out, and it did. And as I was receiving your message, I know everyone else was feeling it, because I'm getting some yeses here. And some yeses in like capital, like yes, so I have to say that that what you've said, I felt it in my heart. And that's how you were saying it. My heart was opening, and I was feeling the need to cry, not because of sadness, but because of the beauty of what it means to be sacred.
Yes.
And to understand this essence of our sacredness, and to understand that, that we, and my story. And for those of you who don't know my story yet, you can go into my video from last week. Listen, I feel what Naharinna is saying here, because because after going through all of that mangling, like you said, you get all mangled up, and beat up by life. It's this beautiful essence that we can connect to, that's always there, even when we think that it's not there. Like, think about it. There's the sun. The sun is always there. There could be clouds, and yes, there could be days that is cloudy and stormy, and you might not feel like the sun is there, but the sun will always be there, and that is the essence of our soul. That's always basically there for us.
And the sun represents open heart.
Yes.
Love. Leo, the lion.
Yes. I love it. And I have a question from the audience, and so Catherine is asking, is this when we must become the observer to look at our most painful parts?
Yes. And you know what? That is an excellent question, because and it's right here on my list of things I wanted to cover. So I love that question. What being the observer to me is, and it could be different for you, and that's all right. And before I go further, by the way, this process, it's going to be unique for every single one of us.
Right.
So you've always got to connect with what is true for you. So back to being the observer, like, okay, you're able to observe when you have reached a place within yourself where you've acquired a certain level of peace, but you've also shifted. And, we go through many growth periods before we actually spiritually shift. And we go through many shifts before we rebirth ourselves. And that's a huge jump in consciousness. So, part of that observer element in this spiritual change in consciousness is really, it comes from this place where you get to that place where you are healed enough to learn how to not just forgive others for what they've done to you, but what you've done to others. Yeah. And also to overcome shame from certain situations. And let me say this, for anybody where something was done to you, where you were a minor, I hope you learn to know that you were not culpable. Therefore, the shame is not yours. Because some people do wear that cloak of shame. Like, what did I do to attract it? Nothing. Because you were a child. You were innocent. And so for me, I never claimed that. But I'm just saying that, so when you do that healing, you get to that place where the compassion flows in your heart. And that deep compassion that you feel for others, you start to feel for yourself. For me, working with the deity Kuan Yin, she helped me with self-compassion and self-love, because I've always been a compassionate person, but I never turned it on me. So when you nourish yourself, you learn self-compassion, self-forgiveness, as well as forgiveness for out of you, for perceived hurts, because sometimes there are some perceived hurts. Your intent was pure, but somebody else is looking at it differently. So anyway, so when you get to that place where your heart is so open to compassion, self-love, then you're able to, then what comes into play is the energy of detachment. With the energy of detachment, you're able to be the observer. And then with that energy, you are able to look at your wounds, and then you can look at it, not just from your viewpoint, but from the other viewpoint as well. And not only that, when you're the observer, you realize, oh my gosh, through those painful experiences and those scars, which they're not who I am, okay? But they are a part of me because I experience them, but they're not who my heart is and what my heart is.
Right.
Then through the energy of detachment, you're able to observe those wounds and say, oh my gosh, I am grateful. And for me personally, I give thanks to my inner children at the
Mm.
different stages of when my inner child was at different stages, okay? And especially through my core wound. I have had sessions with her where I tell her, thank you, because if you did not survive that, I would not be here.
Mm.
If you did not endure that pain, I would not be doing the work to open
Oh,
up so I can
yes.
face it, release it from my body, release it from my energetic bodies. Thank you. And also, my beautiful inner child, you were never alone. You were always held in so much love, so much love. And that's the thing that, I hope many of you know, regardless of whether you feel it or not, we are so held by spirit. We are so loved by spirit. We are so cheered on by spirit. Have faith. Keep with it. It's not easy, but it is the most rewarding thing you will do, because at the end of all those journeys is that joy. And that joy, by the way, I had to learn it's not just like a fountain that would just, flourish. I have to cultivate it.
Mm.
I have to cultivate it
Yeah.
through doing what brings me joy. Is it dance? Is it singing? Is
Yeah.
it painting? Is it cycling? Whatever it's cooking,
Yeah.
find your passion and nourish yourself. So that observer element is huge together with detachment. Okay. A
Mm.
long answer.
Listen, the chat here is going on here, and everyone is just loving your answer. And people are saying how powerful it is, and I just kind of wanted just to say that this, I mean, you're basically describing the work, right? The work.
Yes.
And when you say that, I
Yes.
mean, it really just touches my heart so much, everything that you're saying. And again, I'm so grateful for your medicine being introduced here into the space for this audience to receive. You know, y'all don't understand. I've been very lucky to have her close to me privately for a long time. So you're receiving some beautiful, powerful medicine. And so if you're feeling triggered by any of the things that are being talked about right now, I want to invite you to really just go into that softness of your heart. Try to invite that softness in, and try to bring that beauty and that energy. Even you can call upon Kuan Yin, and some of you are
Yeah.
saying that Kuan Yin has been coming into your meditations. So there
Oh.
could be some work that
Mm.
she's inviting into your self, into knowing thyself. And most likely she's basically supporting you in your journey. So if
Yeah.
you've been connecting to Kuan Yin, definitely continue to call her in whenever you're doing, especially the difficult work, right? Because it can be overwhelming, and we need that additional compassionate support in our energy field. So
Actually, if I could speak to the overwhelm, do you mind?
yes, no,
Yeah.
please, yes.
Um, you know, um, this energy of overwhelm is very real, and we all experience it, okay? But when you get to that, and that space where you're like, I'm overwhelmed, I don't know what to do, start with the breath.
Mm,
Start with the
powerful.
sacred breath. That breath that we take, it is so sacred. And guess what? There will become one day when we transition back into spirit,
Mm,
where we will not be able to where we will take our last breath.
mm,
Until that time, when you're in overwhelm, take a breath, take a deep breath, and take it consciously. Take
mm.
a deep breath in, a deep breath out, as many as you need. Calm yourself and take baby steps, because I mean, when you're in overwhelm, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so snowed under. What direction do I take?
Yeah.
Where do I go? So when you take the breath, you're able to slow down. you're able to really get back in your body, because sometimes when you're in overwhelm too, you're not in your body, and this is huge. Um, and you know, it makes me want to talk about grounding. And you know, when I first started talking to you about grounding, you know, how important grounding is. And like for me, you know, I'd go around happy, 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 or overwhelmed, and my guys be like, "You're floating, you're floating," and so what does that mean? Like, you know, it's so beautiful being up in the ethers with the divine. Yes, it's gorgeous, it's lovely, but this is the experience. It's on planet Earth.
Yes.
So the simple tip, I'll just give you a couple of tips. If you're in overwhelm, take your socks off if you have them on. Go walk barefoot on the grass, or go sit on the grass and breathe. For me, generally speaking, yes, I do that. But generally speaking, I have my meditation chair. I like to sit in there, and I connect with my Earth Star. The Earth Star is a chakra that's about a foot below your feet. And I connect with my energy field, and I funnel it through my Earth Star and connect energetically with the loving embrace of Mother Earth, and ground through her. And as I ground through her, through roots and through energies, allow us, as we ground with her, to release what's not serving us. And as we release what's not serving us, accept with gratitude the love, unconditional love, and her energy that she nourishes us with, and bring it up through your body. And so that's just one short way of, you know, helping yourself. And then also, if you're in overwhelm too, you know, a lot of us, when we're in overwhelm, we want to escape, you know, we want to distract that energy.
That's true. Yes.
But I can tell you, one of the tips that helped me, and, you know, if you haven't tried, but you're probably doing, try get up and dance. Get up, move your body, okay? Shake off that energy, because when you shake it off, you're able to really come to a new place, and then, you know, you're able to, I know it sounds weird because it sounds like you're scattering your energies, but you're shaking off the blinders and that cloud that is surrounding you. You're shaking it off, and so that you can open yourself up and be recentered. So having said that, when you were talking about overwhelm too, I was thinking about the word fear. So fear for me was one of my biggest challenges. Fear is an energy that keeps you from your joy. It's an energy that keeps you from peace. It's an energy that keeps you from connecting with the courageous person that each and every single one of us are, that keeps us from connecting with our resilient energy, that energy to shift, that energy to that energy to nurture ourselves. And I can't think of the word, but fear keeps us from growing, from evolving. And it's real. Okay, because I had to go through several cycles of dealing with fear. Unconscious fears are the worst. Why?
Yes.
Because they're not in your peripheral vision.
Yeah.
And,
so
you know,
true.
peripheral or any other kind of vision. And so that's why you have to dig deep and really go inside and figure out, what is that fear that I have not faced? And I'm telling you this because there comes a time, there's a crossroads, because I was going through this phase where I was like, okay, so, you know, as I feel the spiritual process is really about connecting with the divine within and the work to be done within the heart space and all our energy centers. But at the same time, you know, I was trying to figure out, when we come to this, and there will be this dark time where you will face your dark self, and you will face, you know, some energy that will give you pause. And you have a choice to either be with the light, continue with the light, or to continue maybe with another vibration. And, the creator, the Alpha, the Omega, they created the light and the dark, and they created heaven and hell on earth. Because it's through those experiences that we're able to grow, evolve, and shift. So when you have fear in the way, you cannot shift past these levels. And because I kept on getting that message, there's still some fear that we have to clear. And the reason why it's so important is that when you face the darkness, you're in your light. You're in your authentic power.
Yes.
You're in your truth. You accept and love all that you are, so that when you face that darkness, you have no fear. Instead, when it faces me, I'm like, okay, what do I need to learn?
Yeah.
You're trying to tell me. My energy is calm. My energy is open. My energy wants to learn. So, because there are things to learn. But the thing is, staying grounded, knowing who you are, and really embodying that light. This, like I keep on saying, this process is not here, it's in the heart and it's in the body. We need to embody all of these lessons and experiences. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it's powerful. And I'm here to take it all in. And I'm sure everyone else is connecting to this. And it's so powerful what you're saying, because it is all about embodiment. It is all about not only feeling it in the body, but also the embodiment of the energies, right? What's the embodiment of joy? What is the embodiment of gratitude for you, right? Like, how does that feel in your body, and how are the actions that we take, right, that are aligned with that embodiment of those energies, right? And so and I feel that this is a really grounded way for anyone that is going through a process of awakening, what we call the dark night of the soul, or these moments where they're very, very heavy, to kind of remember these simple things, this very simple part of ourself that is the body, right? And that we can just connect to that sacred breath. That's such a powerful thing that you can do, right? And so when I know that for me in particular, when I have had to sit and sometimes I unblock some subconscious fears through the body, and I'm feeling that panicky energy moving through me, I know that the first thing that of course, I've learned this through the process of, trial and error. But, one thing that I've learned is that the most amazing thing that I can do is to sit on the floor and, cross my legs, straighten my spine, and just breathe. That's all I have to do. Just breathe and allow because the monkey brain is going to try to give you a story, is going to try to give you, something to hold on to, so that you can go down that spiral. And then so that if you get caught on in the mind, just going back to the breath is such a powerful thing, because then you are allowing the energy to flow through your body and allow it to release. So powerful. And then after that, just, maybe burn some kapal.
Sage.
Some sage, something. Just burn something, something. And invite that and invite the energy out. And so it's you transmuting that energy. That's how powerful we are.
Yes.
That alchemy, that's quite literally the alchemy, right? That processing of the emotion.
The spiritual process, it is an alchemic process. It is. The alchemical process, transforming lead to gold. And literally that's what we're doing as we are releasing trauma, as we, are really beginning to love ourselves and free ourselves. So this process for me, again, is really about freedom. The work we do with the heart, it's about freedom from these self-imposed prisons and shackles.
Yes.
Whether it's to previous lives, subconscious fears and thoughts, and that, like for instance, the powerful modality that you and I use, spiritual response therapy, SRT, and other modalities that help us to release all this. Okay.
Yeah, and so there's Kathy is mentioning something here. So she says getting pulled to ground, then back to the mundane time and again. So just kind of, and it is a think about it this way, Kathy, and you can talk into this as well, Naharinna. But I feel that it's all, think about like how the ocean is kind of like going back and forth with the waters. I feel like that's how it is. It's like learning how to manage, right? Like that wave that comes in and out, and I feel that's really what life is about. It's kind of living and accepting, I feel, that process of not expecting yourself to be in one space all the time.
Yeah.
I think that that's almost impossible, at least in my perspective. But maybe if you're like up in the Himalayas, inside a cave, and and even then, you're going to, when you start the process, there's going to be some waves you're going to have to deal with in that process. So, and I'm just speaking from my own experience of doing Vipassana for 10 days, and disconnecting from the world. And even in there in that process, I had to learn about the waves of going in and out into, accessing these beautiful high vibrational places, and then going back into just, not just because this is not like, being here on earth is not a bad thing, right? I don't know why we tend to do that. We tend to kind of like, talk down being on earth, but there's really nothing bad about being here. It's actually a beautiful experience. We come here willingly to learn. So going back and forth into this place, and I feel like when we are able to tap into these places, connect to these high vibrational places, and really it's all about grounding that. And that's one of the things that I learned from you, Naharinna. You've always said that's the biggest thing you've always said. You got to ground.
Yeah.
You got to ground
and ground into this reality.
Yeah.
This is our reality, and we can make it as joyful, as peaceful as we choose to. But yet, yes, there are challenges in the way, and like you said, there are these waves of motion. And the thing is, because we are energy fields, we are energy centers, we're energy fields, and energy does not stand still. Energy is dynamic. And if it stands still, it's stagnant. Something needs to be done to get the motors revved up again. So, and yes, we do shift. Yeah.
And so hopefully that helps you see that you are on the path.
Yeah.
You are.
I think one thing I'd like to really address, though I don't think we have much time to, is really inner child work. The commitment to, and if you had an exemplary childhood with no wounds, I say blessings to you. That's wonderful. But for the majority of us, we have a ton of stuff that we need to, dig up and work through. And if you don't have that much inner child work, then maybe it's related to some core wound, that may have occurred as an adult. But whatever it is, the commitment to, for me, I found personally, inner child work was one of the most powerful healings that I could ever have done. And as a matter of fact, one day I was sitting in meditation, one morning, and I had one of the most powerful healings. And, as soon as I entered the space, there was this incredible sadness for my inner child. And, but on a very high level, she just couldn't understand how she was pure love, and she didn't feel that's what she was getting. And it just, this world was just, very overwhelming. And so, again, I've already discussed how, I held her, taught her, and all that. But the end of that healing was really powerful, because all of a sudden there was this energy that was directed, it was around my heart space, where fragments of me that was shattered were pieced together, and I was whole. And then I was shown this vision of, me hand in hand with my inner child as she was hopping along and happy. And but the reason why I'm sharing it is, there's a lot of healing that goes on, whether you choose to do so with spiritual healers like Jikara, myself, my favorite daughter, my only daughter, or other people. And there are subtle ways of healing that, you may not necessarily receive the vision, or maybe you receive a dream about it, but you may receive the message in a different way, or you may not receive the message. So trust your body, trust that energy you're feeling, because if you're feeling a lightness, it means that something was extracted and you are lighter. And trust how you feel in the body and in your heart, and that's what really counts. Okay.
That was so powerful. And if anyone else has questions here for Naharinna, please feel free. I know there's so much happening here, that everyone is having conversations here on the chat, and I'm so happy that all of you are, connecting to this conversation, and connecting to the heart of Naharinna, which is so big and so beautiful, and resonates with the energy of love and compassion and strength, and deep work too. And so I also wanted to invite you to go into her website if you want to connect with her. She is also a spiritual response therapy practitioner, and she does other healing modalities as well that that she works with, and she's absolutely powerful. I can tell you from the work that I've done with her in the past. I've been able to, move through some really heavy energies, specifically that were around some really deep wounds around my relationship with my mother-in-law, and she was able to really remove some energies, and I felt that. And ever since that happened, this healing happened, like I think over a year ago. I've been able to move through through the energies and through all of this with so much grace, and that I have deep gratitude for Naharinna for that. And so she really is such a loving soul, and what I love about her is that she wants to empower you, and to also remind you. She will remind you of your heart, and she'll remind you of how much you can do, right? And you got to remember too that we as healing facilitators, we are just here to be a conduit. But really, we're reminding you of your divinity, right? Of your sacredness, which is what she was mentioning earlier today. So that's the essence. So if you're connecting with her so far, then I want to invite you to go into her website and reach out to her if you feel called in your heart to do so. And so I just kind of wanted to just segue into any questions if there's anything. Oh, look at this. Kathy saying, thank you. This touched my heart. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful, Kathy, that this touched your heart. This is, I've been feeling it too. The entire conversation, my heart was like opening up even more. And I don't even know if that's even possible, but I guess it is, like it just keeps opening, and it's just ever expanding.
It will continue to expand.
Okay, so that's kind of interesting. Amy was kind of mentioning something about, I knew I was healing because my life was cleared out of people not for my highest good. And yeah, absolutely, that's how it works a lot of times, is that when it's kind of like resonance, right? When we don't resonate with certain people anymore, it doesn't mean that they're bad, or it just means that they're in a different vibratory stage, and so that we kind of like just need to shift out, or they need to be shifted out of our life because they no longer resonate with our hearts, right? So which is beautiful. That's a really beautiful way to know that you are shifting over, so that it's kind of like a very physical way to to see that in your life.
Oh, yes,
And
definitely.
Peggy is asking, yes, inner child is hungry for our
Mm,
love. What is the
yes.
best way to connect? That she's asking, what's the best way to connect to her inner child?
Well, for me personally, it's through meditation. But for some people, they can connect with their inner child through journaling. You can also connect with your inner, okay, I'll say this. I'm not really a journaler. When I journal, it's bullets, it's bullets, bullets,
Yeah.
numbers. And, but some people, when they start writing and even automatic writing, things come forth, they come to the surface.
Hmm.
And also, like Jikara, when you were telling your story and you were talking about working with the energy of cannabis and you were talking about painting,
Yeah.
see, meta painting, when you were doing that, you were healing yourself.
Oh, yeah.
And
Definitely.
and the reason why I bring it up is because, like, I'm not really I am not an artist, but I'm beginning to learn to love to paint. And when I finish with a painting, I get an energy off it and it's
Yeah.
joy. So I think, what's the best way for you to connect with your inner child? I think it's really 100% up to you. What resonates for you? Like, is there something you love to cook? Like, think about your childhood. Was there something? Oh, and Jakara, you've spoken about this too. Like you loved music and you loved art, but it was not encouraged. So,
Right.
so,
Yeah.
so Peggy, if you think about going back to your inner child, think about an activity that either you love doing or that was discouraged. And
Mm.
when you get into that, then you will connect with that energy and you will open and blossom. And I hope that resonates for you.
Yeah, that's powerful, Peggy. And I agree with what Naharinna is saying here, because one of the things that one of the reasons why I started painting was because I was kind of denied the classes. Like, I wanted to take some painting classes when I was a kid, and I was denied that. And but I was like so excited, and I remember connecting to the excitement of wanting to join that class. And so what I did, I was like, well, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just gonna have fun. And I did that in the privacy of my home. And Peggy, you've sat in through a meta painting session with me, I believe, a group session, and I know that you connected to the joy of that. So it may not be painting for anyone, for you, but it could be something else, right? That can it's all about resonating with your mini you. I like to call it mini you.
Hey.
What your mini you wants, you know. Ooh, look at that. I love that drum.
No. I mean, a musical instrument.
It's oh yeah, you can also play a musical instrument too. That's another thing too, that I've used to heal myself is I purchased these. I've been to sound baths before, and I realized how powerful the sound was, really like healing energy through my body. And I said, well, what can I do? So I just, whatever sound that I resonated with deep within myself, that felt like there was some release, and I just went out and I purchased, and I gave myself permission to just play with it. Doesn't have to
Yes,
sound perfect.
exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think that that would be a really great way. So whether it is an instrument, whether it is dancing, or even if it is a painting or drawing, or even playing, giving yourself permission to play,
Yes.
however,
With clay and, dirt, whatever. Like, in the garden. Okay.
yeah, I love that. Yeah, so hopefully that helps you, Peggy, and you're able to do something. I look forward to hear about what your journey is going to be, connecting to your inner child. Cece is asking a question. She's asking, how do you come to this
Mhm.
place of
Mm.
acceptance of
Yeah.
self? How do you come to that place of acceptance?
Well, for me personally, when I got that message, acceptance, ding, 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 I was like, of course I accept myself because I love myself. And when you love yourself, you don't question yourself. You can, question maybe some choices that you're about to make, but, accept all that you are, even choices that you made that may be questionable. Accept.
Yeah.
And so for me, acceptance came to me when when I got to that place of self-love, when I got to that place of, that yes, I am unique, I am different, and I truly love myself, that I am not my scars, I am not my pain, I am not trauma, I am not, yes, some of those things happened. So acceptance is a really deep understanding of who we are in our authentic form, authentic self. And that's what I have to say. I don't know if you want to add to that.
Yeah, no, I agree with what Naharinna is saying. And one of the things that I've done, CC, that I can tell you is that I have done some internal work for a while now in regards to, because I've dealt with anger for a very long time, and I always wanted to push it away because I thought it was bad, you know. And for you it could be something else, like I'm just speaking from my own experience. For you it could be something else, such as shame or something else, right? But what I'm saying here is like taking those parts of us that feel maybe even like, oh, this is negative, like I don't want to be like that, or I don't want to, really sitting with those parts of you and observing them and giving them the space that they deserve, maybe even in a safe space, whether it is through journaling or through even through painting. You could do like a rage paint, like something that could help you channel that energy and in a healthy way, and so that you can really sit with that energy and give it the sacredness that it deserves. Because all of these energies that and these parts of us are sacred. And when I realized that, I learned to embrace it. And then now when the sacred medicine of anger comes through, then I know that it's trying to tell me something, and I listen to what it's telling me, and then I go back and said, "Oh, a boundary was crossed for me," or, or, "Oh, that was hurtful what this person said, and that's why I'm angry." So little things like that that would allow me to really get into that space of understanding. So really, that exploration, I feel, is the most important part. For you to go into that place of self acceptance. So when you do experience both your magical light and your magical dark, they're both accepted fully, and you don't need that. You don't need to seek that external validation out, from someone saying, "Oh, this is okay," right? So, I feel that as long as we're not hurting anyone, and as long as we're doing our best, right, and as long as we're being mindful of our words and mindful of the way that we express ourselves, and we're gonna, we might make mistakes here and there, but as long as we allow ourselves to make mistakes. I think that's another thing too, is like we live in this paradigm of like, oh, a mistake is bad. Actually, mistakes are wonderful, because
Yes.
they allow us to learn from,
Yes. Yes.
so giving yourself to, permission to be in that space, I feel, maybe switching the hat from trying to be just like this perfect thing, being, and then switching it into, oh, I'm a student and I'm
Yes.
learning, and I'm going to give myself permission to be a student on this earth. And hopefully that will shift things to the point where you finally feel that deep self-acceptance. And it's going to be a process, right? It's not going to
Yeah.
happen overnight. I'm still working on my self-acceptance, but I've gotten
Yeah.
to the point where I've, grown so much to where I can do the things that I do now, and stand in my truth. And this wasn't something that I did on my own. Like, I did seek support from others, such as Naharinna, and surrounded myself by people that also nourished and supported me as well. So I feel that's also an important part of your path as well. Really seeking those high vibrational, nourishing spaces, such as this one, where you can really receive medicine and feel inspired to continue to accept yourself in a deeper level. So I hope that answered
Also,
your question.
also, what was key for me coming into that place of acceptance was balance. So, talking about balance of the mind, the body, and the spirit. And, this is one of the things we do as we work through this process is, to attain, then sustain energetic balance.
Mm, yeah, I love that. So I hope that that resonated in your heart, Cece, and that helps you. And Amy was mentioning, because she was mentioning how she resonated out of groups, and she was just kind of like following up, saying that it's been lonely, but she's finally finding her tribe
Oh,
slowly. So
that's
that's good. I'm
beautiful.
glad, Amy.
Actually, if I may say one thing to that,
Yes.
because that's how we met. We met through a dream weaving group,
Yes.
which we call a loom. And I just wanted to say, just like Amy was saying, she's finally finding her tribe. And I actually have a plaque, in my sacred area, that says your vibe attracts your tribe, and it does, right? Because as as your level of consciousness and resonance rises, you will open up into the opportunity for those who will meet you where you are
Mm,
headed, or where and but what else did I want to say about the tribe? Lonely, yes, groups. That the group where we were introduced, for me, and I wish for a lot of you who do not have the opportunity to meet people, try and find an online group that nourishes you. The thing
mm,
about this group that we were a part of, it was spiritually driven, yes, because that's where we were, but also, more importantly, it was a group of sisters who
mm.
loved each other unconditionally. We held sacred space for each other. We could come to this space because we trusted each other, and we could say anything and we would not be judged. We
Yes.
could bare our souls and we would be witnessed. We would be held in love. We would be encouraged. We would be nourished.
Yes.
So I do really, during this spiritual awakening process, if you're able to connect with online communities that are meaningful, that are nurturing, that are not going to, control what you say,
Yes.
and that you can really trust, I encourage you, if you're able to find that, to do that. Thank you. I just
And
wanted
you
to.
and you know, and what you're saying here is so powerful. Part of the medicine, I have to say, for everyone that's here, part of the powerful medicine that I received in those spaces, for me, it was really witnessing other women in their strength, and being feeling empowered in that space, and then also recognizing myself in them and seeing the reflections, and then also allowing myself to move through any triggers and deposit those into the space and be held. There was something that shifted for me. I don't know if there's something about sisterhood that
Yes.
really is so healing. And when we're talking about sisterhood, that is in that space of grounded space, and stepping away from the ego and stepping into our hearts. And I
Yes.
feel like that medicine is so powerful. Like, there's no words to really describe how powerful it is, but it really does move a lot of stuff for us, and we can heal so much. And so I completely agree with Naharinna when it comes down to finding. And I'm glad that you mentioned this, because I feel like that was a big part of my healing journey. Having that group space was really, really powerful. And
Yes.
so, yeah.
Also, you mentioned some attributes, and I didn't want us to forget the energy of vulnerability, seeing powerful, strong women be vulnerable, holding space for them and knowing that there is strength in being vulnerable.
Yes.
How are you going to grow if you don't surrender?
Right. And that's it. And then and that's incredible. And yeah, that's beautiful medicine. And you know, my prayer, you know, is that all of you are receiving that in such a beautiful open heart, and allow it to just flow through you as you receive that in your body, in your mind, in your soul. And so yeah, so I just kind of wanted to also mention, she said that she connects to her inner child through playing with her daughter.
I
That's
love that.
beautiful. I
I
love
love
that.
that. That is so beautiful.
And you know what? Speaking of that, Amy, I have to segue really quick into this, and I'll tell. Maybe this is also for Peggy, since you asked that question about connecting to the inner child. My husband is a huge video gamer, and I was denied playing video games when I was a kid. My mom didn't believe in that, and he is such a childlike. You know, he has this childlike way of being, and so he's been such a powerful healing force in my life. Connecting to, you know, to these like fun games, and just being childlike, and just being just in that essence of just freedom. And
I love it.
I have a feeling that he's going to be doing some work with that. You know, he's going to school for to become a licensed therapist. So I was kind of telling him about that, and I feel like that might be the direction for him. But you know, he'll figure it out. But I feel that was a huge part of my healing with him. He's a healer, but he doesn't know it yet. And
he's powerful.
But he's very, very powerful. You know him.
Yes.
So you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, he's a powerful healer. And so, yeah. And Jess is here. She's saying she's so blessed to have shared the energy with Mama Naharinna and her sacred and so powerful. So she's very, very grateful for the conversation that we're having. And
thank you, Jess. Love you.
So I want to see if there's any other questions here. I know that everyone is basically just coming in here. Yeah, so Kathy was saying we come here to make mistakes. Life experiences separate us from the knowing. Even a child, a baby knows, but we can forget as we go through human experience. Yes, that's true. So just like, you know, kind of like going back into that space of understanding that we're here to experience and to anchor back into our hearts. So again, I just kind of wanted to just mention Naharinna's website. It's right here in front of you, www.naharinna.com, if you want to connect with her. But now we're going to segue into some reading. So if anyone wants a reading from Naharinna today, well, you better put your questions on the comments, y'all, because get ready for some powerful messages. And so in the meantime, while she gets ready, I just kind of wanted to just mention to everyone just to share and like this video. And then in the meantime, ask your questions in here. Make sure that you put your first name, and if your name is not part of your handle, and your question, or if you have any questions about your own spiritual awakening, I would recommend that you ask her about that so she can give you some guidance. So let's maybe focus it on that direction. Okay, so we got people here coming in already. Awesome. So Kathy is coming in, and she is asking for a general reading in regards to her spiritual awakening. So anything that may come up for her.
Any intent specific?
Do you have any intentions, Kathy, or did you just want something, whatever spirit wants to tell you?
Oops. Oh my gosh. Did she provide anything?
Not yet. I think she just wants a general reading. So whatever spirit wants to.
Whatever comes through.
Whatever comes through.
Yeah, it helps to have an intent, but whatever. Okay, so let's see what comes through I'm using this deck, Sacred Power.
Mm.
Um,
I'm going to bring in.
well, personal power came up. I don't know what that means for you. There you go. Mm. Are you having any doubts about your personal power? Because as soon as I connected with that, this was something that was coming through. And that would suggest that you find a way to connect with your inner wisdom. And trust. It's really interesting about this power that we have. And something I may not have mentioned, by the way, is that during this spiritual awakening process, we get tested several times, many times. So, and some of the messages we get, we need to discern the origin of these messages. And, because there is that inner wisdom, there is information from our guides, but also sometimes we hear, and when these messages come through, they're barely a whisper. And I'm feeling that you need to trust that, because some of these messages are really subtle. And that's why being present and in the body really matters. And that's what I'm getting for you. I hope that resonates.
Yeah, and I'm gonna piggyback on the messages that you're sharing with Kathy here, because I pulled 3 cards for you, Kathy, in regards to your reading, and it quite literally aligns with a card that Naharinna pulled. And not only that, it kind of aligns with what you were mentioning here, that you were saying that you feel like you're almost close, but that you're kind of like in this energy of like having to break through. And the first card that came up for you was the card of the horse, which is tame and attain. And to me, when I think about this, I think about the mind and the monkey brain. Sometimes when we kind of get so caught up in the story, right? We were kind of talking about that today. We get so caught up in the story that that we miss those whispers that Naharinna was mentioning, right? So like kind of like that's probably where the one thing that you want to work through is to learn how to that discernment within that voice that is within you, that subtle gentle voice, that it is guiding you, that it is giving you the answers within you. But because there's all this other chatter, you may lose you may lose the message. So it's kind of interesting because a powerful card came through, which is this lion, and this lion wearing this amazing crystal crown, right? And so it's like that power, that powerful energy that you have within you that really wants to come through, and kind of like to give you a little bit of a, I guess, I feel like spirit wants to come through to tell you that things are going to breakthrough for you. Like you're almost there. There's the light at the end of the tunnel. So you want to make sure that you practice what Naharinna was saying, which is to trust the process of this. Let's say this learning that you're going through right now, of learning how to connect to your inner wisdom and that inner guidance that's there. It's there.
It's
All you
there.
have to do is just ground. Some of the things that were mentioned today will really help you connect to that. Okay, so hopefully that resonated, my love. And yeah. So she says, I feel the spiritual becomes so big that it surely cannot be as great as I believe, or can't be real. And see, and that's the thing, is that that's the mind, right? That's the mind chatter. And so that's
Trust.
where we want to kind of give it, kind of put it aside, try to put that aside and really allow yourself to really drop into your heart space as much as you can. And so, yes, she said that this resonated. So awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and typically do a little bit of a soft connect here to your higher self. So I'm gonna disconnect real quick, and then we're gonna continue with the next person. Let's see. I'm just going up here. Okay, so Cece wants to know. She wants to know any question, any. So her name is C, and she has a question of what is next for her in her journey.
Mm. I'm pulling from this deck. Yeah, which I really love, the Mystical Shaman. And yeah, today is a powerful day with the eclipse and the new moon energy. Let's see. I feel like you're definitely going through a shift. I don't know how aware you are of what's coming through for you. And I got the card of the ghost, which I have not gotten before, it's an intriguing card. It's interesting, right? Because you have the full moon in the background, and you have 20. Okay, so it's the card 22, the ghost dance. Whoops. The ghost dance. So 2 + 2 = 4, which to me, 4 is about shifts and new foundation, creating a new foundation. And the picture itself is kind of blurry. And I'm getting the message of a lifting of the veil, if that means anything, a lifting of the veil. So let me read what the book says, okay? The essence of the card, the ghost dance of the American Plains Indians. Yeah, it's a Native American, by the way, in the picture. United the spirits of the living with those of the ancestors to bring peace to the world. When the ancestors are honored, they bring harmony to us. When we hold them responsible for all that is wrong with us today, they haunt us. Honor the spirits of the ancestors and receive their lessons and gifts. This includes honoring your own past lives. The invitation is the ancestors have a message of healing and a powerful medicine to offer you. Create a sacred sacrament at your altar, light a candle to them, and let their wisdom infuse you. At this stage in your life, you are done repeating their tragic stories. Step into the abundance that is offered to you. Receive the gifts of those that have come before you and write a new story for your life. If you are trapped in a vicious cycle of nostalgia, mourning a lost youth, or opportunities missed, it is time to make an altar for the ancestors. Collect a few photos, light some incense, offer sage, open the windows of your house to release them to their destiny and to the wind. Be wary of being snared in a relationship with someone from a past lifetime, as the people we loved or hurt have a way of reappearing in our lives. There is no learning for you there anymore. And you know, it's interesting when this card was talking about people coming from the past, because the energy of, the eclipse is about fated changes. And usually the energies last about 6 months. So be very careful if somebody's coming from the past, and, connect with your heart space. And really, if you're reconnecting with somebody from, it could be a past life, it could be somebody from the past in this life. And follow your heart. Your heart will not lie to you. And but there's an energy of caution there, about repeating old habits. When you do, you go into a cycle. Like, have you heard people say, like, why am I always attracting the same type of guy? Because you're still at the same vibration. So you need to raise your vibration by doing the work, by really knowing yourself, and by really accepting who you are and stepping into that beautiful, authentic, unique self that you are. And when you're able to do that, then you will attract someone who is more in line with who you are. And if you're already in a relationship, then it just speaks to a shift in that relationship, okay. And what else? So what did I get from this? What else did I get from this? Yes, so as part of this process, we need to accept that, yes, even though there were mistakes made in the past, if not by us, by family members, by our ancestors, this is the time for change. This is the time to it is in you. You are powerful. You can stop. Like a lot of us here who are doing the work, we're not just healing ourselves, we're healing our DNA lines. We are healing past lives. And so when we heal, because time is not linear, they are healed because they are in a different dimension. And my belief is that when we heal the family lines, and not just the past, but the current and the future.
Mm.
So, yeah. So I don't quite know where you are, but like I indicated, there is that lifting of the veil, which I think is allowing you to see a little bit more clearly, to feel and connect more with spirit that is ready to counsel and guide you. And that's what I have. Okay.
Okay, and I also have a message, Cece, that kind of, I guess, extends into what Naharina was saying. And I got the card of the starfish, and the starfish, when I see this, I feel into the energy. This one says keep trying, but when I feel into the energy of this card for you, I feel that it's telling me that you are very just consistent in your process. Like you don't stop, like you keep going forward, like very consistent. Like I feel like this consistency from you. And so this is spirit in a way celebrating that for you, celebrating that part of you. And also kind of like the reason why spirit is celebrating this for you is because that's what's being allowing these breakthroughs for you. Like that's what's been being celebrated. And even your ancestors that have come through the card that Naharina pulled, right, is they're basically kind of like coming in and just really feeling into what you're doing. So like what's next, right? So you're asking what's next. Well, this is what's next, is the healing, right? And so also letting go of the expectations on how this healing is going to unfold or how it's going to look like, right? Because sometimes we have this idea of how things should look like or how they should unfold, and then they don't necessarily unfold in the way that we thought they would. But just trust. I feel like this message is to kind of like remind you to trust that healing is actually happening, whether it looks like what you thought it should or not. So, I
Yeah.
hope that resonated for you, beautiful.
And that makes sense with the blurred lines,
Yeah, yeah,
and they're not quite sure of what you're seeing and feeling. Yeah.
yeah. So hopefully that resonate for you, my love. And yeah, so this powerful healing that happens with these readings too, because then we get those confirmations from spirit, and spirit celebrates us through these readings as well, kind of like acknowledging the work that we do. Like sometimes we just want to be acknowledged and be patted on the back a little bit.
Well, but sometimes getting an affirmation helps, because
Yes.
you're feeling these things, and it's like, is this, anyway, yeah.
Yeah, is this really happening? Am I
Yeah.
doing anything? Yes, you are, beautiful C. So I just kind of wanted to celebrate you for that. And then so C is saying yes, it resonates with her, so she says thank you. Awesome. Okay, it's beautiful. And so I'm going to see if there's another person. Okay, so Gigi is in the house.
Hey.
Well, Gigi, and she would like
General.
a general reading, please. What do you feel for Gigi?
Yeah. Okay. Beautiful Gigi. Love to you, my darling sister. Wow. Um, mm. Um, so Gigi, yeah, we have a deep connection, my darling sister. What I got for you, I pulled from this deck, the Hero's Journey, the Dream Oracle. Pull this card for you. Ocean of Emotions. So, and the number is 28, which amounts to 10, 1, new beginnings. 10 can be completions, you know, and it ends in 1. So it says, find a safe place to express your true feelings. So, and of course, through your connection with Yamaya, Yamoja, however one pronounces it, you know, I just feel that you're in this place. You see, if you look at the card, right, it starts with the dark.
I'm going to bring it in a little bit. You can
okay.
move it the other
Sorry.
way.
I need to. There you go. Yeah. So it starts out really dark, you know, and then the light starts to float in and it gets a lot lighter. And there's the sun. There's the sun right there. And so I'm just feeling that you need to, I would suggest that you work with Yamoya to help you really go deep, deep down into the depths of your heart. And and I know you're doing the work. I know you're very committed to doing the work. But there is some stuff that you're not facing, that you're not accepting, that you are not owning, that are creating some emotional blockages for you. And with the power of Yamaya, you will be able to work through those deep emotional wounds that are creating blockages for you. You may need to revisit some wounds. And I'm telling you this, it takes courage. And you are one of the strongest people I know. You will. You need to get deep into it. And work through. You need to free yourself of some emotional energy that is deeply buried. When you do that, you will come to a place of peace and freedom. And yes, it will not be immediate, because when you're doing this kind of work, you're going through stages. You're going through many shifts and stages, and you will come out the other side with a heart, with as beautiful as your heart is, with a heart that's a lot more open, 100% authentic to who you are. And that's what I have for you, my darling, with much love.
And I just kind of wanted to add to Naharina's reading for you, Gigi, because it goes, it goes along with what she's mentioning. And the first card that came up was the card of Sacred Boundaries, and this card came up, upside down, and that what tells me, what's trying to tell me, and immediately received when it came in, was that having a hard time really, sharing those sacred boundaries of yourself. And so and then the card is number 43, and typically I am guided to the numbers if I need to mention it. So for this is number 7, and number 7 is all about that spiritual work, that spiritual learning that we're expressing here on this planet, right? So then you being in that spiritual expression of learning at this moment, and the sacred boundaries is part of that for you. This is quite literally very intertwined with your spiritual awakening and your spiritual process, right? So the sacred boundaries are important. And so also the card of illusion came through, and the card of illusion came kind of like upside down as well, alongside with the sacred boundaries. And this one was showing me number 13. Number 13 is the sacred number of the goddess, right? So connecting to that feminine energy, so that you can really rip away from the illusions, right? That and the programming that sometimes we and it's hard, right? Like sometimes we're going through our life and we're just doing what we know best, right? So kind of going back into that feminine and remembering how to move through these programs, right? That kind of keep us from seeing the truth of what we really need. And those sacred boundaries are really all about our needs, right? So like, where is it that your needs are not being met at this moment? And being very honest about that, and having the conversation within yourself first, and then seeing where you can meet those needs for yourself, but then also having the conversation with others if there's any a need that is unmet in a relationship as well. So kind of like having that but first it starts with self, right? Like you first want to have a conversation, but the only way that you can ground this understanding is by grounding into the feminine and into the sacredness of what your needs are, right? And so going into that space of um, leaving behind the ideas of maybe feeling like you are asking for too much, or maybe you're not, that you shouldn't speak up, or things of that nature. Kind of like bringing back and saying, no, I'm not, like this is my sacred space, and and really going back into that sacred feminine. And what I'm getting here is that when you work through this, you're going to have some huge breakthroughs as you move through the emotional baggage that Naharinna was mentioning as well. You will have that, but these are things that you got to work on right now to kind of go through that process. And so anyway, so that's what's showing up for me, and I am complete. So I hope that resonated for you, beautiful Gigi, in your heart. And so she says, yes, and a whole. She said, so well.
Love you.
Granted, we can, I can do amazing readings for people that I know. And so it's always so much easier because I know exactly what's going on with them, or not exactly, but I can connect. But I also know that there's so many messages that can come in. So I'm just kind of like, granted, I personally know Gigi. Just kind of wanted to put it out there, but the message is still valid. Came through the cards. This is spirit speaking, right? So we still honor and value these messages.
And I just wanted to just interject something, please, because you mentioned illusions, and I have someone very dear in my life, and I just wanted to speak to illusions. We all have certain illusions, maybe on different levels, but be very careful with when you're not seeing clearly and when you're not grounded in reality, because those illusions could lead to delusions, which create a very deep separation between you, your inner wisdom, and your divinity. So I'm just mentioning that because I have a beloved family member who's in that energy and trying to help her with that. And it's fascinating. It's on many levels, but it's sad on some levels. But this is their journey. And the one thing that I wanted to point out, no matter how much we love someone, we cannot walk that walk for them. They need to walk that walk themselves. They have a certain process that they're in with their souls, but sometimes there is a disconnect between their souls and their body and their inner wisdom. And hence spiritual clearance can help, with some of that. So I just felt I needed to share that. So I don't know. There you have it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, of course. So we have room for one more person. And I'm gonna just pull up here and see who else we have here. I'm trying to find and sift through the messages, the comments here. So bear with me, everyone. Bear with me. Okay, she said you know me so well. Okay, so I'm just gonna go up here and connect. Okay, so Vanita is saying, if there's time and you have the energy, I would love a reading. So whenever people say that, it's basically a general reading. But if you have a question, Vanita, let us know in the comments so that we can focus the energy, and so that we can really focus the intention behind the reading. But if not, then just let us know that you want just general, and we can just pull something for you. And then we're just waiting for her to answer. And so, but yeah, this is so beautiful. And I'm so grateful that all of you are, enjoying today's conversation. I knew there was going to be powerful medicine today. And whether it was through the readings or through the conversation, right? And even if we didn't get to do your reading today, you can take away something from the messages that are coming through for someone else, because we are mirrors, after all, of each other.
Yes.
So
yes. Whatever we're facing is something we need to either look within at, search within ourselves, or learn from. Yeah. So
Vanita says, when whatever is coming for her highest good.
Okay.
And for her healing. I guess she wants to know also, like, what's for her highest good and her healing.
Okay. So I'm using the Sacred Power deck, and I got the beautiful Rainbow Dragon card. Isn't that beautiful? All that light, all that vibrancy. fire. Mm. Mm. Okay. Um, okay. Yeah. What I'm feeling is there is this vibrancy within you that wants to emerge. But yet, is it tied? Okay, so I don't know. I feel like there's a part of you that you're hiding and that you need to work through who you truly are and have the courage to allow the wisdom, your inner wisdom, the wisdom of your soul, to flourish within you. Yeah, I just feel that really, if you look at this card, again, look at those sun rays in the background. This energy of your expanding heart chakra, this energy of the light from within, and all the many beautiful colors that you are. I just, the bottom line is, I just feel that you need to take hold of your authenticity, ground it, and you will flourish, is what I'm feeling. But I do sense that, some level of fear, and some level of fear of acceptance. And for you to be patient with yourself, and realize that it will take time for you for what is happening to you to really come to fruition. Like the blooming of the flower, there are stages, right? And I think that's it. This is what I'm getting for you, but I'm just feeling this resistant energy, and I'm trying to figure out where it's coming from. And
I can tell you what it is. Actually,
Yeah,
I'm finding something.
Authenticity, but anyway, okay.
Yeah.
So there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can tell you what it is. And let me take a moment and because I do see something here for you, Vanita, that's in your auric field.
Yeah.
So let's remove that for a sec.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just,
yeah. I feel like that's what you're feeling, because
it's a big form of interference.
Yeah.
Which is, yeah.
That's what you were feeling. I just kind of wanted because I was so I'm just gonna ask you, Vanita, to just close your eyes, take a deep breath. and just visualize yourself receiving this golden light through your nose and expanding into your body, and then expanding out into your auric body, auric field, and expanding out into the room. Just take a couple of deep breaths, just in through the nose and out through the mouth. And just allow yourself to just be present with your breath. All is well now. All is well. Allow yourself to feel into that, what it means to be well for yourself. Okay. All right. So I have cleared some of the energy.
I think there's something in her home that needs to be cleared that's connected to it.
Okay. Let me check. This is how Naharinna and I work, y'all. Just so you know, you're just basically witnessing us working together. So bear with me. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So there's actually a portal. It's clear. We're clearing that portal for you right now in your home and clearing out the entities, okay? Ooh. Okay. Okay, so we're just kind of downloading some energies into your home to support the removal. And right now, I'm just downloading some color, downloading gold into your home. Right. All right. So that is all I have. I don't see anything else that I can do right now, but
yeah,
this quickly.
Yeah.
We needed I guess for you it was more of a healing Vanita than a reading. But I did pull some cards for you, so I don't know if you wanted to say anything else before I okay. So I did and this is directly related, Vanita, to the energies of these things. And so spirit is kind of coming in and reminding you that sometimes the mind chatter, when it gets a little repetitive, or maybe you're kind of having a hard time removing yourself from this chatter, just know that a lot of times that has to do with it could be energies that are at play as well. Sometimes it's not all internal. Sometimes we're kind of picking that up. And I feel like for you, that could be something that can potentially happen when this card came upside down, nourishment card. So, what are you doing right now to really nourish yourself in every single aspect? Not only physically, but mentally, spiritually, emotionally, really surrounding yourself with people. Don't deplete yourself, because when that happens, then these things can happen. And when you're working with people, which I know personally that you do, we things happen, things are exchanged, energies are exchanged. So I would say definitely giving yourself the space to be very consistent, right, with your shielding, and also with that just paying attention to that mind chatter, and especially for you, if you notice that it's chronic, just knowing that there could be something else at play. And this is not for everyone, but I just personally have met Vanita, so I know that this is something that she is experiencing based on the type of work that she does. So I just kind of wanted to just preface, just kind of like make sure that I was clear about that. This doesn't always happen for everyone, but just kind of like wanted to bring that awareness into you. Vanita, I would recommend that. I don't know if you've watched the shielding live stream that we did with Elke Tago last year. I would highly recommend that you that you connect to that. So yeah, so that's all I have. I'm just gonna say I'm complete. I'm gonna disconnect now. And absolutely, she's saying she's incredibly grateful for the insights and the help. So yeah, I mean, there's no coincidence that you're here today with this powerful Naharinna energy. No coincidence, girl. Like you were meant to connect to this energy today. So we're kind of a little bit over the timeline here, and I just kind of wanted to say, well, welcome, Latoya. We got some new subscribers here, so I just kind of wanted to welcome you and just say that we're here every single Thursday. We're here, with different practitioners talking about things that matter, things that will nourish you, things that will help you in your spiritual journey. That's what this and the intention of these live streams are about. And of course, we do give you a little bit of free readings. And if you want to connect with me for free readings as well, I just kind of wanted to invite you to go into my Instagram, the Blooming Lotus Healing, and you can also get free readings there on Mondays from 7 p.m. Eastern time to 9 p.m. Eastern time. So just so you know, you could always get that other chance on either next week back here, or if you have Instagram, you can go there as well, and I'll be happy to support you in that. Okay, so yeah, so I just kind of wanted to mention before we go, Amy had a question, and I just kind of wanted to just have you answer, because I don't want to answer for you. So she had a question about, does Naharinna do readings for people? I'd love to book one.
No, I don't do readings. I do healings and clearings. Yeah. So, but during the follow-up session, if people ask questions, I will pull a card if needed. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's typically the experience that I've had with Naharinna, is that you get the healing, and she's a powerful healer. So if you're feeling called towards her, Amy, maybe there's something out in there. So I just kind of wanted to invite everyone that's really feeling pulled to Naharinna to go to her website, naharinna.com, and she has all of her services there. She's also a powerful SRT practitioner. And I just kind of wanted to say too, remember that all of us have our own medicine, right? So
Yes.
When you go to Naharinna, she's going to be approaching things from the Naharinna space, right? From that medicine that she has cultivated, just how I've cultivated my own medicine. So don't feel discouraged. I really want to encourage you to go in and connect to her medicine, because it's going to be unique and specific to her. So just kind of wanted to mention that. Very, very important for y'all to know. And so I also wanted to mention that, if you like this video, just know that this is going to be in replay. So please share and like this video. And if you haven't subscribed and you're watching right now, please subscribe. We're here every Thursday talking about all the woo things that we can, and also, sharing free readings for the amount that we can, for the time that we can. And last but not least, I kind of wanted to just take a moment just to thank my supporters, those of you who are part of the Cosmic Light Activation membership. Thank you so much. You mean so much to me. You are helping support this channel. I don't have anyone, coming in and saying, hey, we're gonna throw these products and sell it. I'm not doing any of that. So, I'm kind of like in this grassroots energy in this channel, and being supported by you, by those who are here viewing these videos. And, it means so much to me, because it helps me keep this channel, aligned with what is for the highest good of those who are part of this community. So I just want to thank you so much for being part of this. And I cannot express my gratitude enough. Like, the words are not enough to share with you how grateful I am for your support. So thank you again for being part of this. And if you are interested in joining the Cosmic Light Activation membership, and you want to, take advantage of the amazing clearings that we do every month, and the amazing, messages that I share every week privately in our private Telegram group, then I want to invite you to head over to the bloominglotushealing.com and sign up for my email list, so that way when I announce that the doors are open next. I also want to invite you to, there's a little bit of wiggle room. I do have a couple more spots for people to sign up for the Beloved Method system that I am teaching people. I am teaching you how to clear energies between you and your loved ones. If you want to learn how to do this, if you want to learn how to connect into your Akashic records and use the pendulum and some charts, and you want to amaze yourself at how powerful you are, because I will teach you that and you will walk away knowing how to use these charts, then I want to invite you to my 6 week program that I'm going to have, that I'm going to be teaching. So for 6 weeks, we're going to be meeting, and there's going to be Q&A. It's very practical. And my students are already just sharing how grateful they are with the work that they are doing for themselves. So first, you're getting to learn how to do this for yourself. So please do consider signing up for this class. Whether it is now or in the future, I will be, teaching this method ongoing. So just keep your eyes open. And that's going to be on the workshop section of my website. So enough about this promo stuff, because this is not about that. This is about, again, connecting with all of you. So thank you, everyone, for being here. And anything else you want to share before we go, beautiful Naharinna?
Oh, no, but thank you. I appreciate, this. And of course, I always enjoy our chats, and I appreciate all the questions. And that's it. So blessings, everyone. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And namaste, beautiful souls. I love you. And bye-bye. See you next week.